Hey guys, it's Jake from Mitzu Garage, back with another video. I'm here to give you a little update on the 1998 Mitsubishi Eclipse with the LS1 swap in it. It's currently April 18th, 2021. It's about 8 p.m. I know in our last video, I told you guys we'd be showing you what was under the covers back there because I know a lot of you were like, what cars are under that? You know, let us see. So let me show you guys real quick. All right, guys, so as promised in last week's video, we're gonna show what's under the two car covers today. So first, we got here, ooh, look at that. So here we got a 2018 Chevrolet Corvette C7. Look at this car. Check out how sharp this car is. Look at that, black on black, woo! This car is sharp. I wonder if I could start it real quick. Let's check this out. Hey, what do you think of that, bud?
I don't know.
You like that better than the Mitsubishi?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Come on. I thought you were my biggest fan. Come on.
Yeah.
So you do like the Mitsubishi more?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, time for car number two. What's it gonna be? All right, here's car number two. It's a 1966 Ford Mustang Coupe. Wait till you guys see the motor in this. You guys will have to wait a little bit in the video to see that, but I'm sure you guys are gonna like it. If you guys are ever curious on what a 66 Mustang looks like with some 2G Mitsubishi Eclipse wheels, well, there you go. It looks so goofy. There you go, folks. Now you see what a Ford looks like with some Mitsubishi parts on it. Here's underneath the hood of the 66 Ford Mustang Coupe. We got an LS2 with a 6.0 in it. My dad recently finished this last year and it looks pretty cool. Are you ready to hear this fire up?
Fire up.
Might want to cover your ears a little bit.
Okay.
Whoa! Whoa, what'd you think of that, buddy?
I don't know.
All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that little tidbit there, just showing off some of the cars in the garage. I know I don't really go around showing you guys what else is here, but hopefully you liked them. But back to the main topic of this video, the 98 Eclipse. So let us take a little tour on that. All right, first I wanted to go over, I don't know if you guys caught my picture I posted yesterday, but we rolled the car outside and we completely sanded the car. We tried to use some paint stripper on it first, but the paint had been heated up so much previously that, you know, paint stripper wasn't touching the thing at all. It just wasn't doing anything. So we had to use a DA sander on it and just sand the complete body of the car. So as you guys can tell, with the car completely stripped to bare steel, there's hardly any damage to the body of this car. Yeah, there's a few dents, but it's hardly anything. And we're gonna have to sand these edges by hand a little bit. Another problem that I'm sure a lot of second-gen Eclipse owners run into is usually on these rear hatches, you'll start to see rust like this. This is all pretty much surface rust. So what we're gonna have to do is uninstall the hatch and sandblast it just to fix this little bit of surface rust, but that's nothing major. Usually I see, you know, pretty big holes in these things and you can't really replace these, so it's gonna have to work, but I mean, that's hardly anything. It'll do its job. We'll get it cleaned up. The car hasn't had any accidents or any major damage, so it's really nice to see on this car, and so far it's looking really great. I've never seen a car this clean, so it's definitely, it's gonna be a show car for sure. Also, I'm sure you guys are wondering, like, what happened to the old wheels? Well, we took them off because, like I said before, we're getting the car ready for paint. So we just wanted to put the stock wheels back on it, just so our nice new ones don't get overspray on them. But that's the only reason why they're there. We'll have the other ones back on once we get it back. All right, next I wanted to go over, we actually received our new fender flares this week from Carbonetics. We ordered a set for the 2nd gen Eclipse, so it's made to fit. They are fiberglass. So here's the fender flares from Carbonetics right here. They are fiberglass. Now, I ran into 2 issues. Now, the first issue was there was no instructions, and also they didn't come with any hardware. So what did I do? Well, I messaged Carbonetics myself and asked them, like, hey, how do you install these? And they said, well, I mean, it's up to you. There's no clear direction on how to put them on, so do however you see fit. So I said, okay. So the next thing I did was I looked on Google and looked on YouTube, and I wanted to see how other people put them on. Well, the problem I ran into is every single video I watched, everybody put them on different. So I wasn't in a very clear direction on how to put them on. Not saying, you know, anybody put them on wrong or incorrectly. It's just I'm being shown 5 different ways and nothing was really helping me out. So when we started installing these fender flares, I figured the most obvious choice were to be to start with the rear passenger side where the fuel door is. Well, I wasn't really given clear instructions on how these go, but I watched a couple videos on people installing these, and normally there's like this 1/4 inch lip right here on the flare that sits inside the fuel door. And what I notice people doing is they'll either cut this part of the flare out itself, or they'll cut part of the fuel door right here just so the fuel door opens, or some people just leave it off in general. But you got to keep in mind that really doesn't benefit me because this would sit about 1/4 of an inch higher. So most of the time when people are buying these wheel flares, they normally want you to cut the inner and outer of the wheel well. Well, we're trying to do the opposite because we are not lowering the car. The car might actually be a little bit higher now than stock. We also had to the fender flare a little bit because if I put it where it's supposed to, you would have noticed the bottom of the rear quarter, and I didn't want that because I don't need wheel clearance right now. I'm just trying to cover up the extra 2 inches of tire that is sticking out from the rear quarter. We didn't cut any of the fenders or the rear quarters at all because I wanted to leave it the way it is because our problem is not wheel clearance. So I have the front off just to kind of give you like a little demonstration of what's going on. So right here on the front, I don't have a flare installed right now, but I just put a shoddy piece of tape right here just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So normally at the top of this blue tape, that's normally where they would want you to cut part of your fender out to install the flare. That way you get more wheel clearance. But the thing is, we don't need wheel clearance. We're just trying to cover up the width of the tire. So instead of mounting the fender flare up higher like people normally would, we actually had to put it down about 1/4 of an inch lower because we don't want to cut any of the fenders out and we don't want people to see, you know, the bottom part of the original fender here once the flare is on. So if you look back here, if you're looking at it from the side, we do have our fender flare about 1/4 of an inch lower, so you cannot see the bottom of the rear quarters right there. All right, so I'm sure you guys have some questions about my installation and the tools and everything I needed, so I have that ready to show you guys right now. So I just wanted to go over the tools we use to get the flares installed. So we got our rivet gun here, we got our 1/8 inch drill bit or something slightly larger. These are the nuts I used for the flares. We got our drill and our drill bit here. We got a nut driver. We got some sheet metal screws. We got our caliper here. And then we got a Sharpie to mark where we wanted to put the flares. And guys, I saw some people installing these flares. They'll put the nut on one end and put it on a long bolt, and they'll just use 2 wrenches to tighten it into the fender. You guys, if you're spending $400 on wheel flares, buy the proper $20 tool to get it done. And no, I did not try this, but I just wanted to show you guys this is not the proper way to do it, and this goes straight in the trash. So right now I'm going to throw up some pictures of us installing these flares. They should be pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go over it with you now. So we used our 1/8" drill bit, and we found the center of the holes of where the rivets are supposed to go. So we just started with 1/8 inch just to figure out where we can mount it, and we did them one at a time. So we started in the center, and then we just went back and forth with the sheet metal screws just to make sure the flare itself didn't warp or anything like that. All right, so after you got all your holes drilled out on your flare and your fender itself, what I did was we took a 5/16 countersink like this, and you just want to enlarge your 1/8 inch hole here. So you want to precision fit kind of like that. And the reason you want to start with a smaller one is because these are fiberglass, and if you start with the larger one at first, you run the risk of cracking or splitting the fiberglass, and we don't want to do that. So we wanted to start off with a smaller hole and then use the countersink just to make sure we have a precision fit and nothing cracks or splinters. So next you want to take your nuts right here, and you want to take your caliper and you want to measure the largest part of the nut. And trust me guys, you want to use this caliper tool to figure out the largest part of this nut right here, which is also called the knurl. But you want to make sure you have a precision fit on your nuts, because you don't want it too small or too large, because then these are not going to fit properly. And as you guys might know, the sheet metal on these cars are very thin, and you don't want to run the risk of warping it. And if you screw up once, well, you can't really go back. So I recommend you guys practice a little bit on a separate piece of sheet metal or a junk fender you got by any chance, but just take your time and do things correctly, and just use your proper tools and your best judgment. Also, I just wanted to tell you guys real quick, these are not the hardware I'm using to install these flares. I just put these on just to kind of give you an idea of what they look like, but we are using some stainless steel Allen bolts, just to let you guys know. I might have forgot to mention that, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up. All right, next I wanted to talk about with you guys, I don't know if you caught, I think it was our last video or the one before that, I told all of you we were missing the fuel pump connector right there, but luckily someone sent me a link on Extreme PSI's website, and I was able to order just the fuel pump connector. This is not a pigtail, so we'll have to solder on our own wires, but I wish I had everything ready to show you guys the car running, but unfortunately the car is about to be painted, so we're running a little short on time to show you guys the car running, but maybe in a future video, who knows. All right, and just one more thing before we go. One of the things we're gonna work on is the rear hatch. We're gonna weld off that rear wiper hole, and we're also gonna weld off the rear squirter hole. So we have a little bit of that to do this week, but as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much it we have before the car gets painted. We still have a little bit of sanding to do, but not much left. But the car should be heading out to paint soon, so yeah, it's gonna look great. So the car is getting painted very soon, and the color is still up in the air. We haven't made a final decision on it yet, but let me know what color you guys want to see the car. I'd love to hear what color you think this car would look great in, but yeah, we're still up in the air, so let me know down below what color you want this car to be. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode on the 98 Eclipse. Hopefully you guys are loving it as much as we are, and hopefully you guys like the little extra treat of showing off the extra cars in the garage. So stay tuned for our next video. There's a lot coming up. The car is getting painted soon, like I said. Make sure you follow our Facebook and Instagram pages if you want the most recent updates on when a video is coming out. And feel free to send me a message if you have any questions on the build or you want to see something in the next video. Just let me know. I'm always watching. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Bye.